let me grab your attention with this. Most women don't even realize that when it comes to going down on a guy, the biggest turn on isn't what you're doing with your lips or tongue, it's what you're communicating while you're doing it. That's the hook. That's the secret. Because for him, it's not just about the sensation, it's about the story you're telling with your energy. It's about the vibe. And here's the truth, if you want to make a man melt, if you want to have him literally begging for you and only you, it's not about porn star techniques or fancy tricks. It's about the psychology of how you approach him in that moment. And the women who get this, who truly get this, create a connection so addictive, he'll replay it in his mind 100 times after it's over. So let's start here. K point number 1, men crave to feel desired just as much as women do. And you'd be shocked how few women actually show it. Most guys go their whole life wondering if women really enjoy doing it or if they're just tolerating it to make him happy. But when you flip that script, when you show up like you can't wait to taste him, like you were turned on by giving, it drives him insane. Because now he's not just thinking, she's doing this for me, he's thinking, she actually wants me. And that's a huge difference. When you lock eyes with him, when you let out those little moans of enjoyment, when you touch his thighs like you can't get enough, you're giving him the gift of being desired. And trust me, that stays with him. It builds an ego rush that no other woman can compete with. Key point number 2, control the pace. See, too many women think the point is to rush to the finish line, to just make it quick. But that's like skipping the best part of the movie. You miss all the build up, all the tension that makes the ending unforgettable. What makes it powerful is when you play with speed, when you know how to tease, when you're willing to slow it down instead of going full throttle. Because for men, the brain and the body are linked. If you overwhelm him too quickly, he checks out. But if you build the anticipation, if you keep him wondering when you'll give more, if you show him you're in no rush, that's when you own him. And here's the kicker. The slower you go at first, the more he'll crave the faster part later. Tease, pause, let him ache for it. That's how you make the finish unforgettable. And let's zoom out here, because this is where women often underestimate the power of the moment. Going down on him is not just a move, it's a mindset. It's saying, I'm confident in my sensuality, I'm in control of this connection, and I'm not afraid to show you how much I enjoy giving. That's intoxicating for a man. It makes him look at you differently. It makes him think, this isn't just someone I hook up with, this is someone who gets me, because he's not used to it. He's used to women being shy, being unsure, being mechanical. But when you flip it into something playful, confident, tasing, fun, that's when you blow his mind. So here's what I want you to really take away from this first part. It's not about doing more or knowing the perfect technique. It's about desire and pace. Desire, because he wants to feel like you're addicted to him. Pace, because if you master the art of teasing, you'll drive him crazy without even trying. Those are the first 2 keys. And as we dive deeper into this, I'm going to show you the other 3, the little psychological flips, the subtle body language, the things you can do that make him feel like you've tapped into his fantasies before he's even voiced them. And trust me, when you master all 5 of these, you don't just give him pleasure, you give him obsession. You become the standard he measures every other experience against. And that right there is the kind of intimacy that keeps a man locked on you, not because you demanded it, not because you begged for it, but because you gave him something he can't get anywhere else. Now let's go deeper, because if you thought this was just about desire and pace, you're only scratching the surface. When a man is in that vulnerable position, letting you explore him, letting you take control with your mouth, there are things happening in his head he'll never say out loud. And if you understand them, you won't just give him pleasure, you'll give him meaning. You'll give him an experience that rewires how he thinks about you. Key point number 3, it's not about what you're doing, it's about how you're reacting to what you're doing. Most women think men only care about the physical sensations. Wrong. Men are addicted to feedback. They want to see, hear, and feel that you're actually into it. If you're silent, if you look bored, if you're mechanical, even if you're technically doing a great job, he's going to feel disconnected. But if you're moaning softly while you do it, if you're squeezing his thighs, if you let out little gasps when you switch pace, if you look up at him like you're enjoying every second, that's what drives him insane. Because now, in his mind, it's not just, she's giving me pleasure. It's, she's getting off on giving me pleasure. And when a man feels that, you've unlocked the highest level of intimacy, because now he doesn't just feel good physically, he feels powerful emotionally. He feels like he's turning you on just by letting you taste him. That's one of the biggest secrets to making him crave you, your reactions, your energy, your enjoyment. Now, let's flip to key point number 4, variety. Men get bored fast. They won't admit it, but they do. If you do the same rhythm, the same speed, the same thing over and over, his brain checks out. He gets desensitized. The art of keeping him addicted is mixing it up. Sometimes slow, sometimes fast. Sometimes you back off, sometimes you go deeper. Sometimes you use just your lips. Sometimes you mix in your hands. Variety keeps his brain firing with dopamine because he never knows what's coming next. It's the surprise factor. Think about it like music. You don't fall in love with a song because it's one note repeated endlessly. You fall in love with it because it has a rhythm, a chorus, a drop, a build-up. Same thing here. When you switch it up, when you play with patterns, you're giving him a symphony instead of a single note. And trust me, he'll remember that symphony long after it's over. But variety isn't just about technique, it's about attitude too. Sometimes you're playful, sometimes you're intense, sometimes you're tasing, sometimes you're giving it all. That emotional variety is just as addictive as the physical variety. It makes him feel like he's on a ride with you, like he never knows what's around the corner, and that unpredictability is what keeps him locked in. Because here's the truth: men might chase novelty in the outside world, but when you become the source of endless novelty for him, he won't need to look anywhere else. You become his obsession, his playground, his escape. Now, key point number 5, the one almost nobody talks about, is power. This moment isn't just about him, it's about you owning the situation. Men fantasize about surrendering control. Even the most dominant alpha in charge guy secretly craves the moment where a woman takes over and makes him feel like he's at her mercy. And when you're down there, you hold all the cards. You decide the pace, you decide the intensity, you decide when he gets closer and when he doesn't. That's power. And when you wield that power with confidence, when you tease him, when you hold eye contact while slowing down just to watch him squirm, you're tapping into one of the deepest psychological fantasies men have. They don't just want pleasure, they want surrender. They want to feel like they've lost control in the best way possible. And when you make him feel that, when you let him see how much you enjoy having that power, you're giving him something no quick hookup, no half-hearted attempt, no scripted performance can ever touch. But let's zoom out again. All of this desire, pace, feedback, variety, power, it's not really about technique. It's about psychology. It's about creating a moment that feels like more than just physical stimulation. Because here's what most women don't realize: men are starving for intimacy. They'll never admit it, but they are. They crave to feel seen, desired, worshipped. And when you approach this moment not as a chore, but as a chance to show him he's wanted, he's powerful, he's safe, you're feeding him something deeper than pleasure. You're feeding his soul. And let me tell you something, when you give a man that feeling, he doesn't forget it, he doesn't replace it, he doesn't walk away from it. Because every guy out there has had good sex, but very few men have had unforgettable connection. The kind where he feels like he's both in control and completely surrendered. The kind where he feels like you enjoy giving as much as he enjoys receiving. The kind where he feels desired, teased, worshipped, and powerless all at the same time. That's the cocktail of emotions that makes him addicted. That's the difference between being someone who gave him pleasure once and being the woman he can't stop thinking about. And that's why this isn't just a physical skill, it's an emotional strategy. You're not just giving him an orgasm, you're giving him an experience. You're creating a memory that etches itself into his mind, into his body, into his heart. And when you do that, you don't just have his body, you have his loyalty, you have his obsession, you have the part of him that doesn't wander, doesn't get bored, doesn't look for someone else. Because why would he, when he already has the most addictive experience of his life, why would he trade it for anything less? So remember this: men don't fantasize about technique. They fantasize about energy. They don't dream about mechanics, they dream about meaning. And when you combine those 5 keys, desire, pace, feedback, variety, power, you're not just giving him pleasure, you're giving him what every man secretly craves but doesn't know how to ask for. And when you become the woman who gives that, you don't just win his body, you win his heart. And now we come to the part that most people miss, the glue that ties all of this together. Because it's not enough to know the 5 points, it's about how you embody them. Desire, pace, feedback, variety, power. These don't work if they're just mechanical moves on a checklist. They only work if they come from a place of presence. If you're in your head, worried about how you look, if you're stressed about whether you're doing it right, if you're distracted or insecure, he will feel that. Men are far more intuitive in these moments than they let on. They may not have the words for it, but they can sense energy. They know when you're giving yourself fully versus when you're just going through the motions. And presence, that's the real secret ingredient. Presence means you're actually there with him. You're not thinking about your hair or your body or what noise you're making. You're lost in the moment. Your eyes are saying, I want you. Your hands are saying, I claim you. Your pace is saying, I know exactly how to drive you crazy. When you're present, he doesn't just feel pleasure. He feels wanted. He feels seen. And that's what men are starving for. They don't just want to release. They want to feel chosen in the most primal way. And here's the paradox. The more you allow yourself to enjoy the moment, the more he enjoys it. Because energy is contagious. If you're tense, he's tense. If you're free, he's free. If you're wild, he feels permission to let go. And when you reach that point where you're not just giving him pleasure, you're losing yourself in it, that's when the fireworks happen. That's when he remembers it for days, weeks, years. That's when he compares every other experience to the one you gave him and finds nothing measures up. But let's get really real for a second. Why does this matter? Why go this deep into something people often treat like a casual act? Because intimacy is where people bond or break. Think about it. A man can have countless encounters, but the ones that change him are the ones that make him feel something beyond the physical. The ones that leave him thinking, damn, she gets me. She saw me. She wanted me. That's what makes him come back, not just to your bed, but to you. That's what makes him call, text, chase, commit. It's not just the act, it's the meaning behind the act. So let's put all 5 keys together in a way that creates not just physical fireworks, but emotional addiction. Step into the moment with desire, because if he feels you want him, he melts. Control the pace, because building tension is what makes him lose his mind. Give him feedback, because your moans, your eyes, your touch tell him he's doing more than just being serviced. He's turning you on. Mix in variety, because when he never knows what's coming next, he can't pull away. And finally, wield your power, because when he feels like you've taken control, when he feels like he's surrendered, when he sees the confidence in your eyes, he'll crave that power dynamic again and again. Now imagine this, you're with him and he's lying there vulnerable, open. You lean in, but instead of rushing, you look at him like he's the only man in the world. You tease, you pace, you let your reactions slip out. You keep him guessing, you take control. And when he looks into your eyes and sees you enjoying every second, he's not just feeling pleasure, he's feeling desire, intimacy, obsession. That's when he thinks, I don't want this to ever end. That's when he's hooked, not on the act, but on you. And here's the beauty, you don't have to be perfect. You don't need porn level techniques or magazine tips. You don't need to worry about whether you're doing it right. The truth is, when you bring energy, presence, playfulness, and confidence, you are doing it right. He doesn't remember the exact moves. He remembers how you made him feel. Did you make him feel worshipped? Did you make him feel powerful? Did you make him feel like he was driving you wild? That's what lingers. That's what keeps him addicted. That's what makes him look at you differently from every other woman he's ever been with. And if you're sitting here thinking, but what if I'm nervous? What if I've never done this before? What if I'm shy? Let me tell you something. Confidence isn't about experience. It's about intention. It's about saying, I want to give you this moment. I want to see you lose control. I want to watch you melt under my touch. That intention is more powerful than any trick or move. Men feel that. They don't remember if you were flawless. They remember if you were passionate. So here's the takeaway. This is not just about technique. It's about transformation. It's about taking a simple physical act and turning it into an unforgettable emotional experience. Because when you can make him feel desired, surprised, powerless, and worshipped all in one night, you're not just another memory. You're the memory. You're the one he'll crave when he's alone. You're the one he'll think about when someone else tries to replace you. You're the one he'll never be able to forget. And that's the power you hold. That's the secret most women don't realize. It's not about what you do. It's about how you make him feel. And when you bring together desire, pace, feedback, variety, power, and presence, you give him something that every man secretly dreams of but rarely finds. You become the standard, the fantasy, the addiction. And when you own that, you'll never worry about whether he's coming back, because he won't just come back. He won't want to leave. So if you take nothing else away, remember this: when you make a man feel like the center of your world in that moment, when you give him not just your body, but your energy, your passion, your confidence, you don't just give him pleasure, you give him obsession. And that right there is how you turn intimacy into the most powerful connection tool you'll ever have. Here's the truth no one tells you: intimacy isn't just about sex, it's about imprinting. Every single experience you create for a man leaves an emotional mark on him, good or bad. Some women give him pleasure, sure, but they leave no imprint. It's physical, it's fun, and it's forgotten the next day. But some women brand themselves into his memory. And the difference isn't technique, it's intention. It's how present you are, how much you connect, how you make him feel in his bones like he's more than just a body to you. Now here's the hidden key to aftercare. Everyone thinks the magic ends when the act is over, but that's where most women miss their greatest chance to create obsession. When he's just finished, when he's vulnerable, when his walls are completely down, that's when your words, your touch, your presence goes straight into his subconscious. If you pull away, go cold, or act like it was nothing, you've just reduced a deeply intimate moment to something transactional. But if you lean into him, kiss his chest, whisper something playful, laugh together, or just let him feel your warmth, you've just turned physical release into emotional bonding. That's the part he'll remember. That's the part that will echo in his mind long after. Think about it like this: the act is the high, but the aftercare is the anchor. The act makes him feel alive, but the aftercare makes him feel safe. Men might not admit it, but they crave safety in intimacy just as much as women do. They want to know they won't be judged. They want to know they can be vulnerable. They want to know the connection isn't just skin deep. And when you give them that, when you wrap fire with softness, when you combine wildness with comfort, you create the perfect storm. You create not just a memory, but a craving. Let me tell you a little story. A guy once admitted that the best experience he ever had wasn't with the most skilled partner. It wasn't the craziest, it wasn't the wildest. It was the one who afterward laid her head on his chest and told him, "I love making you feel good." He said that line, combined with the way she smiled up at him, hit him harder than anything else. Why? Because in that moment, he didn't just feel like he had sex, he felt like he mattered. That's the hidden craving men can't put into words to matter. And intimacy is your chance to give it to him in a way no one else has. And here's the kicker: when you combine all 5 points we've talked about with this bonus 6th one, you become unforgettable. Because you're not just giving him desire, pace, feedback, variety, power, and presence. You're sealing it with emotional intimacy. You're closing the loop. You're taking him from lust to connection, from pleasure to meaning. And that, more than anything else, is what makes a man obsessed. So here's my challenge to you. Don't treat this like a trick. Treat it like a gift. Every time you give yourself to a man in this way, remember, you're showing him not just how much you want him, but how much you value the bond between you. When you put intention behind your actions, when you bring your full presence, when you care about how he feels after as much as how he feels during, that's when you elevate intimacy from sex to art. And when you do that, you're not just another chapter in his story. You become the story he tells himself about what intimacy really is. And trust me, once a man has tasted that, he doesn't go back. He won't settle for less. He won't forget you, and he won't be able to replace you, because you've given him the one thing every man craves but rarely gets: not just pleasure, but connection. Not just release, but meaning. Not just a moment, but a memory that never fades. So take this with you: every touch, every look, every sound, every tease. It all adds up to more than an act. It becomes a message that says, "You matter. I see you. I want you." And when you deliver that message wrapped in fire, playfulness, and confidence, you don't just have his body, you have his soul.